up guys? For today's video I wanted to revisit the stainless steel Nixon Regulus. Just because, you know, a couple months, maybe even a year has gone by since I put out my last review. And so I'm just giving you an update and also, you know, really just a show and tell, because I did buy this one again, the regular stainless steel version. And, you know, we'll talk about that story later on in the review. But for now, let's go ahead and get right into it. So starting off with price, you can reasonably purchase one of these watches in the ballpark of $200 to $250. And that all just depends on whether you're looking at Amazon or eBay or maybe, you know, a smaller retail site, and also depending on which version you get. Because the great thing about the Regulus is that there are so many different styles to cater to what you like to wear on your wrist. So for me, I've got this one, the gold one, and I've got some other non-metal ones, and they've got several in so many different color variations. You've got multiple stainless steel versions. One of them is gunmetal, the other one is a blackout version. So they're all very cool. For me personally, I like to keep it simple, so just regular stainless steel and gold. All right, so talking about the rest of the watch, the Regulus is really advertised as a tactical special operator watch. So I think they say that they talked with some Navy SEALs on how to design like the most efficient, effective watch for Navy SEALs. Whether or not Navy SEALs wear it, I don't know. The few special warfare sailors that I've had the pleasure of working with, I've noticed that they really stuck with very simple, reliable, budget-friendly beaters like Casio, G-Shocks, and Timexes. But I'm sure there's a couple Navy SEALs out there that wear the Regulus. Who knows? If you know some, let me know in the comments. But for me personally, the reason why I like this watch is because they advertise it as a tactical watch, and I'm all about things tactical, right? Like, I'm not a tactical guy, but I like to wear tactical things just because I think it's cool. And that's just my personal choice. But really the main selling point is how effective and efficient this watch is at giving me the information that I need on a daily basis. So I don't need an ABC watch most of the time, right? I really spend a lot of my working hours in an office in front of a computer. So I don't need an altimeter, barometer, compass, or etc. I just need to know the day of the week, the time, and maybe a timer if I'm cooking some food. So the great thing about that is that's really all this watch gives me. So it's like the perfect everyday watch. I've got time right here, and then your day of the week and calendar data. And in between these two numbers, you've got these two sets of zeros. So this is stopwatch 1, and that's stopwatch 2. So the fact that that information is displayed all the time is great, because most watches, you're either one or the other, right? You're either in main display or in stopwatch mode. And it's just a really cool thing to be able to have both all at the same time. And what's even cooler is that if you go to stopwatch mode, so here's your mode button right there. If you go to stopwatch mode, you still have all of that information available. So you've got stopwatch 1, stopwatch 2, and then your main time, day of the week, and calendar data. So you could really be in the main display or in stopwatch mode and still have all of that fantastic information. It's really up to you how you want it. And having it in stopwatch mode really looks cool because you've got these big bold numbers right there. It just gives it that futuristic sci-fi look that, you know, if you're in a room and somebody notices that watch, they're going to be like, hey, what is that? That's a really cool display. And what's even better is how simple this watch is to use. So you've got two buttons right here, and each button correlates with the information that's right next to that button. So right now you've got stopwatch 1. So if I hit this top button, it's going to start stopwatch 1. And if I hit the bottom button, it's going to start stopwatch 2. And then to stop it, I just hit this button again. And to reset, I hold. So for some of you that aren't super watch savvy, you might need to read the manual just to get a general idea of how to operate this watch. But once you've read it once, you know, it's super easy and you'll never forget it. And for the rest of you that are very familiar with how a basic digital watch works, you'll figure it out within 30 seconds. Going on to the other modes, you've got your timer and then alarm. And you notice you've got stopwatch data still available in all of these modes. And then back to your main display. Now, another cool thing is that this is a dual time watch. You're not going to be able to see it on this one because I have time 1 and time 2 set to the same time. So it's going to be hard to see. But here, if I hit this top button, which correlates with the information on the top row, it'll shift to time 2. And then if you hit the bottom button, it'll change from calendar data to year. I never keep it on this mode because, you know, I never need to remember what year it is. But it's cool that they have it. And the cool thing is that once you set the year and the calendar data, it'll automatically know what day of the week it is. So it's just another cool feature. As far as water resistance goes, it's 100 meters or 10 atmospheres. I don't know if this qualifies as a dive watch, but in my personal experience with my other non-stainless steel Regulus, it does just fine underwater in the shallow end and the deep end, and you know, any kind of sink use or in the shower. So no issues there. As far as the crystal goes, I really apologize. I actually don't know if it's a sapphire crystal or mineral crystal. I'll make sure to put that on the screen after I do some more research, but it has been very durable. The crystal is slightly recessed, so if you do drop it, it's not like as protected as a G-Shock, but it definitely has some protection. You know, if you were to just, you know, drop it on the desk or something, it'll hit this top bezel first. All right, now let's talk about the bracelet. So there's really no concern as far as finishing goes with the regular stainless steel version. A lot of questions I get for the gold version on the Regulus, and even, hold on, I'll be right back because I want to show you the other one. So I get a lot of questions on the finish, these gold finishes on the Regulus and my unit. The finish is really reliable, or not reliable, durable. I have had no issues with it fading. It really does seem like it's gold all the way through. If you can see, I do have some, not damage, but just some wear right here. And I thought that maybe it would have worn away the gold finish, but really underneath the gold finish is just more gold finish. So I guess they did a really good job on that. You shouldn't have too many issues with that fading over time. You will develop a small patina inside in between each of the links, but you don't notice that unless you actually, like, you know, put the links in a unusual position. So several years, it's still, you know, super bright yellow gold. So good job on that. As far as the design of the bracelet, I think it's very robust and strong looking. My only issue is they could have done a better job maybe like rounding out the surfaces. You will find that if you bend it in a certain way, the metal might bunch up and get kind of like locked or seized in a specific position. But I rarely come into that issue. Overall, I think at this price range, it's as good of a bracelet as you're gonna get. And actually, let's take a moment to do a wrist shot. Here, I'll do a double wrist shot here for you. Some people wear 2 watches on both wrists. That's a little bit too much for me. I actually don't understand people who wear watches on their right hand. That just, it's like, it blows my mind, but you know, more power to you if that's how you like to wear your watch. But here you go. So very robust, very thick. This is a dense watch. But if you're like me and you are a thicker person, then this is the perfect watch for you. If you're like one of those twigs or very skinny, it might look a little out of place on your wrist. But again, it's so cool, I don't think anyone is gonna care. I don't think you're gonna care. I think you're just gonna be happy that you've got such a cool looking watch. I mean, square watches are like so awesome. I think because it's a little bit more unique, but it's also very minimalistic in its design while still looking very futuristic and modern. I mean, I think that's why the G-Shock Square is so popular as it is. Actually, let me go ahead and bring out the Square for you just so you can have a good comparison. Fortunately, it's right behind me. So here is my, I think it's the GMW B5000. So here's a side-by-side of the two. I think another good thing about the Regulus is because of the price point, for those of you that don't want to fork over the $500 that it costs to get the B5000, you know, you can spend half of that money, even less than that, to get something similar in concept. I understand that they're not the same, right? But for somebody who's maybe not so gung-ho about brand loyalty or something like that, you know, you get the same thing in philosophy or in principle. You get a square watch that's stainless steel and looks clean. You know, the B5000 is a square watch and it looks cool and it's in stainless steel. So, you know, unless you're super die-hard about getting a G-Shock, then go ahead and save the money to get the B5000. But if you're not and you just want something that's similar in design, then go ahead and get a Regulus, because it's still a very cool watch. And in some ways, better than the G-Shock. Obviously, if I had to pick, I think I would stick with the B5000. But there are definitely things on the Regulus that I think are done better, such as the information that's displayed. Let's go ahead and take a look at that backlight now. All right. There's the backlight. Hopefully my camera will focus. If I can get it to focus. There we go. And you can adjust the time of the backlight for 3 seconds or 1 second. I would have appreciated if they had considered having a red backlight, especially because if this design is for Navy SEALs, a red backlight would have been ideal. But for the rest of us normal folk, this is also perfectly fine. So there you have it. That's my thoughts on the Regulus. I have now owned a Nixon Regulus for, I want to say, more than 3 years now, maybe just around 3 years. And I still have not changed my opinion to this day. I'm a fan. I would like to see in the future maybe a solar version. I don't think Nixon makes any solar watches, so maybe they don't have the ability to manufacture that. You know, I get it. Quartz watches are just as good, no issues there. And they're simple to maintain because battery replacements are super easy. But it would be nice to have that option. Just, you know, having 10 plus years of not having to worry about it is always a great thing. But other than that, I love these watches and I highly recommend it. If you are in the market or you've been looking at it and you're not sure whether to pull the trigger, I say go for it if you can afford it. So that's all I gotta say for now. I hope that this video helps you with your next your next watch purchase. Thank you for watching and make sure to tune in for my next episode. All right, bye.